Hi, this is Benjamin Morgan. This is a video tutorial for Screenwriting Fundamentals Week 4. I'm going to go over this week's homework in a minute, but first I wanted to look at screenplay format a little bit. This is a PDF of The Hangover. This is the title page, and every scene will have a scene heading. You'll see it here. It'll be either interior or exterior. Interior, Bel Air Bay Club. Pacific Palisades, you don't always need that, it's just a little more detail. And then morning. So you just need where it is. It is at the exterior, the Bel Air Bay Club, and then what time of day it is. Morning. So I'll show you another scene heading in a minute, but every scene starts with a scene heading. These are what are called the action lines or the prose. This is where you describe what we see. So it's a beautiful spring morning. They're describing what we see on the screen. When you feature something like the Bel Air Bay Club or the string quartet or the caterers, when you're featuring something, it's in caps. Also, when you introduce a new character, it will also be in caps. So you see here Tracy Turner, she's in caps. You also need to list their age. You can either do that in parentheses or you can do it like this, but either is fine. Again, we introduce a new character, father. Then down here we have the character, Mr. Turner. And right below that is some dialogue. Any word from Doug. You don't need to emphasize with italics or underlines. It's a stylistic choice. It's up to you, but you don't need to do that. So that's the basic. Those are the basic elements of a screenplay. We'll go down to another scene, and you'll see. So this is the opening scene. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So then we go back to the beginning of the movie. They're driving down the freeway, and you'll see we introduce all these characters. Alan Mirvish, Stu Pierce, they're in caps. Character names and dialogue are always in caps. They say some stuff. Well, when we see these guys again down here, Stu, he's no longer in caps because we've introduced him. Hope that makes sense. So when I was first learning how to write screenplays, I just got a hold of a bunch of screenplays, and I referred to the really good writers and got the formatting down. It's going to take some practice. Let's look at how you create a screenplay. I'm using Final Draft. For those of you who are using Celtx, unfortunately I can't be much help to you. I don't use Celtx, used it very little, and I've been using Final Draft for a very long time. There is a Celtx wiki page, and I believe I have that in course information, that is really helpful. So if you have questions about Celtx, go to the Celtx wiki page. So I'm just going to write a random scene here that I'm making up. So the first line, you'll see down here at the bottom, it'll tell you what we have. What we're starting with is a scene heading. So a screenplay is always going to start with the scene heading. If you hit this drop down, you have the things we talked about before. The action lines or the prose, the character's name, a parenthetical, which I'll talk about in a second, some dialogue, transitions, and shots, which frankly you don't need in this class. I don't want you really writing a lot of direction in your screenplays. So we're starting with a scene heading. So as I mentioned before, you'll do interior and exterior. Interior, it's inside someone's house. Let's say interior, small apartment, day. Let's make this about you. A young college student who, I'm making this up as I go, Jennifer, Tracy. I like parentheses for age. So the age is in parentheses. Sits staring at a computer screen, eating, and then I'll capitalize nachos because it's featured. Let's see. Her roommate's name is, who cares? Tina. Let's say she's also 22, 21. Enters. So, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. So, after the end of my action lines, I now want to write some character dialogue. I'm going to hit enter. It always goes to action line. Whenever you hit enter, it's going to go to action line. You see, I'll hit enter. Down here, it's in an action. Now, if I want to do action, great, but right now I want to do a character. So I'm going to hit tab, and I'm going to do Tina And now when I hit enter, now I'm in character dialogue. So it'll go right there. If you'll see here, down here, see my mouse, dialogue. So now I can start typing dialogue. Hey, wow, that's great. Hey, what are you doing? And then I hit enter. Like I said, whenever you hit enter out of dialogue or action or scene heading, it goes right to an action line. So I'm back in an action line. But I want to continue the dialogue. So I hit tab, and I don't need to capitalize. It's already capped. And then when I hit enter, now I'm still in dialogue. Jennifer, just listening, or how about this? Just watching this boring video my screenwriting professor sent me. So now when I hit enter, now I'm going to talk about Jennifer again. Jennifer continues stuffing nachos in her face. Tina exits. So I didn't need to capitalize Jennifer again because I've already introduced her up here. Didn't need to capitalize Tina because she's introduced. Don't really need to feature the nachos again because I've already... you want to have this in caps so your props person knows you need some nachos, etc. So this is the basic structure of a scene. I'm not going to do too much more. There's really no need. What you need to do is just play around with this and remember that as you tab, and you also, there's a drop down right here, as I mentioned before, so you can always go to that as well, because if you went, you know what, this is not supposed to be an action line, I wanted this to be dialogue. So you can go right here, and it goes to dialogue. So, oops, that wasn't supposed to be dialogue, then you go back down to this drop down. Does that make sense? So it's very easy. Oops, what did I do? Character. So this would be an action line. It's really easy formatting. The other great thing is that now, so I hit enter, it goes to action, hit tab, it's going to guess that since Jennifer was the last person to talk, Tina's next. And if I say, well, no, actually I wanted Jennifer to talk again, I hit J, it's remembered that name. So it's really, really smart. It makes it easy. It automatically did continue because Jennifer was talking here. If I didn't want it, I could do that. A lot of people want to know what a parenthetical is. A parenthetical is not that important for you to know. But Jennifer, you know, if you wanted a parenthetical, verbs loudly. I hate this dumb class. I hope this isn't true, by the way. But anyway, so that's it. That's all you really need to know. The key with writing a good screenplay is that less is more. You really don't need to have too much detail about what she looks like, about what's going on, about what's definitely not what's in her head. It is not a novel, it's a screenplay. So we only want to write about what's on the screen. So let's see. That's really all I can offer you at this point. If you do have questions, like I said, the Keltex wiki page is very helpful. Final Draft also has help. You can go on YouTube and find stuff. But this is the basic gist of how you construct a scene in Final Draft. So let's take a look at next week's homework. We're going to be writing our pitches now. So the pitch is where you boil your entire story down to one sentence. And if you can't do that, then you don't know what your story's about. So in this case, we're going to use what's called the 3 C's pitch, and it's going to be a few sentences. But I would encourage you to really try to, before you even write this 3 C's pitch, try to sum your story up in a sentence. Just what's it about? So let's go through how we construct the 3 C's pitch. The 1 to 3 sentences that answer the question, what's it about? And you'll get this as you're pitching your story to people. They're going to say, what's it about? And you're going to tell them. And if you go on for more than 30, 60 seconds, you're going to lose them. Now, if they ask questions, you can go on and on. But anyway, so we're going to use what's called the 4 C's pitch. This is not an industry standard. This is not the only way that it's done. This is a way to write a pitch that's really helpful for beginning screenwriters because the elements are so crystal clear, and it does make sense once you put it together. So in your 4 C's pitch, you must have character, conflict, color, and comparison. So for the purpose of this class, that's what I'm grading on, that you have the 4 C's. So the character and the conflict, okay, so here we have the character, you see the conflict. And as we've talked about, the character, you must have irony. You must have character irony, the weakness versus the conflict. So we've talked about this, I hope you guys get this now, that basically this journey should be more difficult for your character than anyone in the world. In Star Wars, Luke was really impatient, but he had to be patient in order to learn the Force. So color is the type of film. So, you know, you've got, is it a drama, is it a comedy, romantic comedy? Be really specific about what color, what type of film it is. The comparison is where you contrast it with two other films. Please don't use more or less, use two films. If you use one film, it's too specific, and people will compare your film to that one film and just think it's going to be just like that. But if you pick out what it is about these two different films, it really helps give people an idea of what you're going for in terms of tone and style and content. So, you know, you don't want to hear people, you hear people say this sometimes, like, it's Star Wars meets American Beauty. You need to be more specific. I will say there's a lot of Star Wars in this presentation. Brant Smith, who is a creative partner of mine, we've taught classes together. He constructed most of this, or we wrote this together, and he did a lot of the Star Wars pitches, but it is, I assume that most people have seen the first Star Wars movie. I hope you have. So that's what we're basing it on here. So again, be very specific about what it is about these films that are comparable to yours. So let's do the Star Wars 4C's pitch. A farm boy, so character, first C, farm boy, on a backwater planet, at the center of an interstellar battle between a powerful evil empire and ragtop. So that's the conflict. The character is a farm boy. The conflict is the battle between the evil empire and the rebels. Character and conflict. You have your first two C's, farm boy and the battle. Your comparison is a sci-fi ensemble. So you're comparing it to Buck Rogers in 2001. And the color is a sci-fi ensemble. Sorry, skip that. And Buck Rogers 2001 are your comparables. And you end with the title. Once again, the four C's. Character, farm boy. Conflict is the battle between the evil empire and the rebels. The color is a sci-fi ensemble. And the comparison is Buck Rogers in 2001. Again, specifically what it is about those two movies. The thrills of an updated Buck Rogers and better special effects in 2001. So, that is the four C's. So why is the pitch so important? It's incredibly important for you at this stage of screenwriting because it's the seeds of the screenplay. This is what you base everything on. And again, if you can't summarize your story in a sentence or two, you don't really know what you're doing. So it's important to boil it down. Again, I would encourage you to boil it down to one sentence. Just say, what is this movie about? Once you get that, then delve into your 4C's pitch. And if you're legitimately interested in going out and making a movie, you're going to need that pitch to raise money, to get other people interested in the movie. It's really, really crucial, again, to be able to pitch people in a very short amount of time. This is what the movie's about. And when people get interested, really, oh, that's so cool, and they'll start asking you, then what happens, and what's this like? And then you can go on, you can talk about the movie for 10 minutes, half an hour. But those are follow-up questions. You have to be able to start with a very simple, boiled-down version of your story. And then again, you'll also use this pitch, or it will be used for television listings, for DVD boxes, etc. You'll hear me say this a lot throughout this term. Brevity is the soul of wit. So less is more. You know, I get frustrated sometimes when I tell students that we have an assignment that should be no more than 1 page and they give me 5 pages. It just means you didn't try that hard. Boil it down and make it simple. And in this case, your 4C's pitch should be no more than a few sentences. Pitch everyone. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but there are a lot of movies that have pitches. Bolt has a great scene with these pigeons. It's about 1 minute long. You can find it on YouTube. I'll email it to you guys. It's a really funny scene. But you want to pitch anyone and everyone who will listen to you. So, and I mean that seriously. You have classmates, friends, roommates, family members. If you're really bold and really serious about filmmaking, pitch strangers. You're at a party, you're at a coffee shop. Just go up and start talking to people and ask them if they will hear your pitch out. Or it'll come up in conversation. What are you up to? I'm writing a screenplay. What's it about? Pitch them. And pay attention. When you pitch them, do they tune out? Do they lose interest? Do they not get it? Or are they engaged at certain parts and you go, oh, that part really worked. That's great. Or this part didn't work. They didn't know what I meant. And to me, it seemed crystal clear because it's in my head. Didn't make any sense to them. So your pitch will get better and better every time you pitch someone. So your homework this week, and of course this is on Blackboard below in the assignment section, you need to continue reading Sid Field's screenplay book, chapters 9 through 12. Write your pitch using the 4 C's method, and continue to write your morning pages. Again, morning pages, it's designed as a tool to help you strengthen your writing chops. You do not need to turn them in. They're not graded. So it's really for the serious writers in the class. I've been writing my morning pages for over 12 years, and it just keeps my writing fit. It keeps me in shape as a writer. So that's it. That's what we got. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, get out there and read some screenplays on your own. Otherwise, happy writing. Please do review the 4 C's pitch assignment post. And also, I will be posting, opening up a forum in the discussion board for you to pitch so your peers can give you feedback. That's a great place to refine your pitch. Happy writing.